Welcome to the latest episode of the Celtic Exchange Weekly. This is Tino, and this week I'm joined by a full house of Miff, Paddy and James as we once again cover all things Celtic. Miff will get to all the transfer stuff in due course. But in the meantime, I believe it was a big day in the Miff household yesterday. Talk us through it.
Yes, it certainly was. My youngest son had the honour of being the Celtic mascot yesterday, which obviously coincided with Callum McGregor's 500th game, and as luck would have it, Callum McGregor is his absolute hero. So very, very special day, very emotional. I was in the south stand with the boys for the bus, a few close friends, and it was a lovely moment to share with them. Seeing the wee man walk out with Callum McGregor, it was unreal.
You were saying pre-match that various guys were great with him, including Tony Ralston, Alistair Johnson, Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, and I hope this gets. I don't know if MD for the club will listen, but
depends what we say about the transfers.
I very true. Maybe listening closely, but I just couldn't say enough about the players and how good they were with him, specifically Ralston, Johnson, Hatate, McGregor and Schmeichel. So thanks very much for looking after my boy, and he was honestly absolutely buzzing. And a shout out to the guys at Motherwell as well. It's not very common to have away mascots at away grounds for either Celtic or Rangers. It's very much a case it's regimented on match day. They go in, they play the game, they leave. But it was just through a family friend that the chance came up, the question was asked, and very, very thankfully for us it was a yes. But a huge shout out to Robert and David at Motherwell as well, who were brilliant with Benjamin as well. So just a magic day, and then made even better by the fact he hadn't even made it back to me in the stand when everybody celebrating a goal, and I was looking out to the steward who was bringing him back round to us in the south stand, and I'm trying to make my way down, and we were actually directly behind the goals where all the sort of Green Brigade boys and that were, but they were brilliant as well. They made sure that I kind of get through to get him and all that. So it was just a brilliant day, and then topped off by the emotion at the end with Jota scoring. We were all there to see one man, and sure enough he came up with the goods.
Emotion at the start of the day, emotion at the end of the day.
Yes.
Big day for Ben, even bigger day for Miff, by the sounds of it, but it sounds brilliant fun all round. I just want to give a quick thanks to Gio from Big Lens Photography. Gio provided a couple of images that you can see on screen just now. Gio also provided the framed image from the League Cup final that we're giving away as part of our latest Celtic Exchange Plus promo, so big shout out to Gio for that.
Thank you very much, Gio. Thank you.
Yeah. James, in terms of the game itself, massive performance by Dijsselmaijde. He missed out against Villa during the week, but he came back with a goal and 2 assists. How big is he for Celtic right now?
Huge, and that, it's a big part of why Bayern's going to be doubly harder without him, because we know what a job he does and how hard he works. Obviously, it's softened slightly by the fact that you can have wingers in the shape of Kuhn and Jota starting that game. It's not like you're going to the bench for a Palmer or a Yang, but Dyson is just he is an enigmatic player, but he's everywhere and he does amazing things. Does some crazy things, but does some amazing things as well. But to get that goal, big thanks to Tony Ralston for the cross.
Great cross.
But it's a wee bit of a Larson awareness in terms of where this header's going. He doesn't look to just put power on it, just places it, and it's actually 40 seconds, even something like that. Fantastic.
Yeah, off to a flyer. So that's his 16th goal of the season, equaling Nicholas Kuhn record. The only difference is assists. So Dijsselmaijde's get 8 assists, Paddy, and Nicholas Kuhn's get 12. But in terms of the importance of Celtic's wingers, you can't deny it, and it's clearly a system thing. In terms of how Brendan Rodgers, or where he puts his focus. But 16 goals from either wing, plus whatever you get from your striker. More on strikers or lack of later on in the piece. But between Dijsselmaijde and Nicholas Kuhn, they've been huge for us.
They've been massive, and I think it definitely is a system thing, as you mentioned. I think as fans, we love seeing a free scoring number 9. I think we've been blessed with so many over the years. But when you've got 3 players that are capable of sticking the ball in the net and doing it quite consistently and quite comfortably, look at the amount of goals we've scored this season as well. I'm very comfortable wherever the goals are coming from, and it doesn't put a lot of worry into me if my main striker isn't the one it's on the score sheet every week, because I know that the reason for that is that he's involved in the play for the other 2 wingers. So it's been great to watch this season.
I think what's noticeable whenever someone plays it, that sort of centre forward position for Celtic, it happened with Kyogo, it happened in the first half yesterday with Ida up until a point, and it happened when Maeda moved there, is they're almost completely removed for the game in terms of the build-up play. So it's a different type of mental strength and awareness that they need. And I think what was really noticeable was we seemed to go to Ida more when we went back to one each. We started using him as a focal point and played off him. I think it really worked to our advantage. But also, the goal comes, the third goal, the clinching goal comes from Maeda coming from off the pace. It's a great, fantastic ball for Engels. I didn't know at the game if he'd meant it for Yang.
I think so.
But
it's a good ball.
I think he's put a great bit of curl on it. I think he's actually just fed it right into that area. And
Danger zone.
Maeda is just onto that in a flash. It was just fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And it's becoming a bit of a unique position at Celtic. Back in the day, you would normally have said MD remotely competent. You know, even an average SPL striker, say, would have come into the Celtic team and scored maybe 20 goals in a season.
Service.
The way that Rodgers teams play, I think it's a wee bit more specialist. I don't think it should just be taken for granted that you can chuck Maeda up there and he'll be able to play it. I think you need a certain type of striker to play number 9 at Celtic now in this system.
Paddy, your thoughts on Adam Ida? It's been a big week for him, hasn't it? 2 brilliant goals at Villa and a real number 9 goal, against Motherwell at Fir Park. What's your thoughts on how he's responded in the wake of the Kyogo move?
I said it yesterday. I just think he's got his tail up now. I think he's looking at the fact that he's been able to have the 3 goals over the last 2 games. It's massive for him in terms of what he's looking to try and kick on with now. There will be a real confidence from him at the moment that it's his jersey, and I think whoever's going to come in now are fighting to get the jersey off him for the remainder of this season. And actually, there is a bit of comfort in knowing that we do have the backup in terms of Daizen Maeda to be able to come into the position. It's not what we want, absolutely not, but I don't think I'll lose sleep over it in terms of being worried about injuries. I think that it's still a very comfortable situation for us with the players that we have at our disposal. We could make it better for ourselves, and hopefully we do by the end of this evening. But on your point in terms of the system as well, for me, it's a massive factor in what obviously Brendan Rodgers said about Kyogo, said he's a perfect player for him, because you can be involved in the build-up, you can be involved in the move, but what a lot of the fans are always watching is the ball. We're not actually watching what the forward player is doing. He's taking defenders a walk all the time. Kyogo was really, really good at it. And the games that I've been watching recently, you're actually looking at the likes of McGregor, seeing Engels do it, seeing Hatate do it, and Austin Trusty, all speaking to Ida and saying, this is what we need from you, bringing this ball out from the back. And I'm starting to think he's starting to read that now. I think he had the better of the 2 centre-halves at Villa. And I think he's now starting to realise, if I can bring them with me, take them about that final third, I'm opening up all spaces at the back, and then I make my move and get in there in time. And he's done it yesterday against Motherwell as well.
And he's a young man playing under a knowledgeable and talented coach, James. He'll be learning all the time under Brendan Rodgers, and I think it is clear to see Rodgers was quick to highlight after Villa that he's not fully fit. Not sure why that is. He's been here now. I know he missed a pre-season, but he's been here long enough.
I'm assuming he's meaning match sharpness.
Fitness.
Aye, I would think so.
So hopefully that'll come back, and it should do with the minutes he's getting just now. But James, as I say, we'll go on to the transfer chat just shortly. If we don't sign another striker, or if we sign someone who's maybe just backup or less quality than Ida, are you happy enough with Ida being the main man for the rest of the season?
I'm never happy. In terms of
there you go.
Full stop.
In terms of transfers and stuff like that, you always want more. But I think there is a wee bit of bit between the teeth on Ida. Getting his involvement in the young boys' goal that was crucial.
Yeah.
2 phenomenal goals I thought against Villa, and then that 6-yard box goal yesterday.
I think the pace he showed against young boys, I think that was the most telling thing.
He can move.
Clean pair of heels.
Yeah. And then his post-match yesterday, he was saying, I'm here to be the number 1. It's his jersey now, because there's nobody else in the...
That's what James wanted, but you wanted that, didn't you?
What?
Come on, show me.
Aye.
Show me.
And I've always believed in Ida. I've always thought he had it. No denying that. But he was, just in a wee bit of a lull, and to burst out of that in the fashion that he has and blow away, I thought it was a pathetic piece for the BBC on the morning of the Young Boys game, which I think has cost him a wee bit in terms of Celtic press conferences.
Continued on to Sports Sound that night as well, by the way. Aye, and the minute
after doing his business,
the minute Paddy Bonner started to challenge it, it was, we'll move on. We've got all night to talk about it. It was disgusting.
And this is like a Scottish club qualifying for the last stages of the Champions League, first time in 12 years. And what's your point?
Lazy journalism.
It's even snide journalism. It's not even lazy. So, but the big man's got it. He's got the jersey now, and it's whoever is Danny Ings to come and try and take it off him.
What was that noise?
I'm trying to take a bit of a pragmatic outlook. We'll come on to transfer window in detail, I'm sure, but I'd rather we just sign a backup to Ida than go and spend too much money on someone that isn't worth that. At the same time, there's a balance to be struck there, and as fans you always want more, but you do need to be kind of pragmatic sometimes.
I wonder if Brendan Rodgers just pinned the BBC website onto the wall, Paddy, and made that the team talk before young boys with the...
Pin the website to the wall.
It's the modern day. Put it up on the digital board and we'll see what happens.
I've sent that to the printer.
On the cloud.
On the cloud. Check you out.
It seems that our highly popular Yang Watch feature may become a thing of the past soon, and it may be replaced, and I think we're okay with it, by Jota Watch. You mentioned it at the start of the piece there, but it just... Stars aligned, all those kind of things. It was meant to be. What do you make of what he brought to the party?
Well, I think firstly you could see the difference in him when he moved from the right to the left.
Yeah.
He almost came alive. Probably something to do with the amount of pies that were getting hurled at him for the stand. But he just is a completely different animal on the left hand side, and also gave us a glimpse of what he's all about as well, with some with some lovely footwork, and his willingness to try and make something happen. He just seems so determined to, get on the score sheet or do something really notable. There was one run in particular, I think he slalom past about 4 or 5 players, and you just thought, oh, this has got to open up here, and he just didn't get the final touch past the defender. But for me, to be in that stand when that happened, the emotion, the reception he received, and you could see he was really touched by it. But to finally get that clinching goal, and you see that you can't fake a reaction like that as a player. It's genuine raw emotion, and you could, the roar as well. The same time, the roar for the fans as well. It's there was a bit more oomph behind it when he scored. It was just fantastic, and for me, obviously, yesterday was quite an emotional day, as you'd already mentioned, Tino, for me, given everything that had happened. But for that to be the end point of it was just absolutely fantastic.
You've mentioned what Jota brings to the party, and particularly on the left hand side, he looked particularly comfortable. And someone on Twitter mentioned the fact that he's going inside, he's going outside, he's got the full repertoire in his locker. But what he's also got, and I think you've either got this as a player or you've not, it's just that star quality. He does have that level of, I don't know, pizzazz, these kind of words that will get bounced about. He's just got something different from a guy like Kuhn, who's a brilliant player, really talented, but Jota's just got something. Just
to make a final point before we move on from me, I said this yesterday to Badger. I was in the stand. I said sometimes players suit teams. Miss Badger. Sometimes players suit teams, and I think having gone away, come back, he regards being at Celtic as home. He felt the love yesterday, and he'll continue to feel the love, no doubt. And hopefully that means that he's going to be ours for a long time to come. I just think that the saddest thing about it all is that he's came one way and Kyogo's went the other, because you're signing a guy like him. It's perfect for Kyogo to give him the service, and he's not got to be there to get it. But hey ho, that's football. He's moved on, we move on. But the blow of losing Kyogo, what a way to soften it by bringing Jota home. He's a phenomenal talent.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Paddy, we'll move on just in a moment or so to the transfer stuff. But anything else from Motherwell that you want to chat about? Any individuals? Anything of note?
Yeah, I'd say a shout out to our two fullbacks yesterday. I thought
both excellent.
Both very comfortable in the game. Greg Taylor especially, I just thought it was a mature 90 minutes from him, and just even the attempt at the pass to play Maeda in at the beginning before the first goal, just very clever play, and for a guy that's probably carrying quite a bit on his shoulders in terms of his future, in terms of stuff that he's probably read online about him, stuff that I've said about him. I think fair play to him, because he just gets his head down and gets on with it, and I thought he was excellent yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got to agree with that. And you and I done the post-match, Paddy, and I think people will always have opinions on different players, but don't let that opinion cloud your judgment sometimes before a ball is kicked.
Aye.
It's almost like some people saying, well, Taylor will do this and he'll let us down and they'll target him again and all that stuff. Greg Taylor can only do what he does within the game, and yeah, we can be annoyed at separate moments, but give him the backing and give him the opportunity to go and do well. And I thought he was, particularly decent. And Tony Ralston too gets an assist within 60 seconds, and it's credit to Tony Ralston, who I don't think had featured for 7 or 8 games, something like that. but just continues to be the professional that he is, does his job, waits for the opportunity and comes in, and it allows you to rest up Alistair Johnston ahead of further important games. So everybody wins out of that.
That's it. And I think the thing with Ralston is, we all know he's Celtic through and through. So I think that if he plays his part and that's his part, he's content in what he's doing. He just keeps himself fit and keeps himself ready.
Yeah, good man. What we'll do, let's move on to the January window because there's plenty of stuff to cover. I was going to say some good, some bad. Not a lot of good.
That's a bit quick section.
Yeah, just a 5-minute run through the business so far. I tell you what, let me do that. So at time of recording, we're recording here about the back of 5 on Monday. Celtic have concluded the following transfer business. Outgoings: Kyogo 10 million to Rennes, Alessandro Bernabai 5 million to Internacional, and 3 loan moves: Palmer to Olympiacos, Stephen Welsh to KV Mechelen in Belgium, and Odin Thiago home to LAFC. Incomings: 1. Jota.
Oh, missed out by
End of
Alex Bay, okay, we'll throw him out as well. Jota, 8 million from Rennes. Amazing business, we're all delighted by it, but it's sitting in isolation at this moment in time. We know that KT's seemingly all good in a pre-contract. Unless something dramatic happens, it won't be till the summer before we see him. The rumours are, and I think there's photos down the range that you've got, Miff. What photos you got?
Well, it's not my photos, but I've been sent photos of Brendan and Lowell.
That's just in.
That's just in. Why not just have a look now? Fabrizio Romano. He's normally on the ball. Jeffrey Schlupp from Palace to Celtic. Here we go. Verbal agreement done. Straight loan. No option to buy. Deal in place. No KT.
Yeah, but that's just a cover for KT
well,
till the summer.
That fits with what I had been told. No, that I'm in the know, but somebody said to me, if we do sign him, there'll be a panic loan signing. I'm not saying that's necessarily panic. He was linked with us before. Probably plugs a gap in the squad, but to have Bailly and one loan replaced by another when we were clearly expecting KT just seems a wee tad shambolic to me.
There's still work to be done in the left back position unless Taylor's staying, because KT needs cover. So it's
it does you at the end of the season, but
as long as Taylor doesn't go,
that'll be a summer situation we'll need to see. But let's stay. Well, your photos first of all. So you want to confirm what you've seen?
I saw it was Rodgers and Lowell on a plane.
Wee holiday.
Potentially back to the Villa, good result at the weekend. They're friends again, into the Gant outlet, 25% sale, onto the plane, away we go.
But it is a very friendly picture, and so we can have a laugh and a joke.
Although they're not sitting in the same row.
They get row themselves.
Somebody's in economy, somebody's in business.
Brendan's got 2 seats.
Brendan in the first row economy.
Brendan's got 2 seats. Lord Wilson business class, aye.
Brendan said, I'm going, and Law was like, I'm going to make sure you go.
Just
watching him in
myself. So who knows? For me though, I go back to get a bit of heat for it on Friday night for saying it. A lot of people didn't agree with me, but you don't sell Kyogo unless you've got somebody better there. Not maybe going to come in a plane on the last 5 hours of transfer deadline day. There, done deal. If that's not been done, then that to me is gross mismanagement of our squad.
So I was very relaxed about it because I thought, clearly there's somebody coming in. They've done it to me again.
Like I said, guys have gave up their season ticket because of this type of behaviour. So
I'm going to get a season ticket and then give up.
I know that there's loads of guys who listen to us who just won't hear a word said against Celtic, and they accuse us of moaning when we go into these situations. But I make no apology for saying we have sold Kyogo. The reaction to me saying on Friday night that I wasn't happy about it was, but Kyogo wanted to go. But if he'd wanted to go for the summer, and was playing at the level that he'd been playing at for that time period, it was no issue for me whatsoever for him to continue playing to the end of the season, because we needed him. We needed him.
Yeah.
Why now? In terms of why have you pushed that move through
It's
now?
utterly bizarre for me. I just don't get it.
I have a theory that we're really, really starting to feel this from Celtic in terms of, I do think that they are trying to get it right in the transfer market. I do think that they are trying to learn from the mistakes. I think one of the things that we do is that we clearly show our hand far too early in terms of players we want, players we sniff about. The only reason we'll go in for said player is if a deal has been concluded. And the minute we start thinking about, right, we need to replace this player because we've now sold the other one, teams are just like, oh, hang on a minute. Yous have told us you've got plenty of money in the bank. Yous have told us that you've been looking at this player for 2 years. And yous have told us that you're going to give us 10. Well, we want 14. And they put the pressure on Celtic, and they've done it at the last minute. that I think that we, with our model and how we operate, are not willing to take these risks and not willing to go and spend X, Y, and Z more like we have done with Engels and like we have done with Adamida. I just think that we're showing our cards too quickly in the transfer markets.
I think you've made an excellent point there. I think what's happened there is the bids come in at 10 million and we've put the model before the product on the football park. We've actually went, oh, wait a minute, 30-year-old, £10 million in January, deal.
Aye. But you do have to take that, but as long as the parameters are right for you, and the parameters are, do you have cover?
We don't have better on the park. We've qualified for the playoff leg of the Champions League, and a lot of people were going, oh, well, Kyogo didn't make a difference, or it wouldn't have made a difference at Villa Park. But how do you know? You don't know that.
We will always sell before we buy, though. That's the issue.
Yeah, this is a frustration. Matthew said on the show on Friday night that, quote unquote, it's such a difficult window. No, if you're dealing with Celtic, you can just pick off who you want, pay the money and you get the player. And it just seems that Celtic were too quick to accept the offer for Kyogo. I understand 10 million for Kyogo is good business, but as you say, James, other factors need to be in place. And somebody says he wanted to go, so you need to let him go. No. Celtic hold the cards. He was contracted till 2027. He's wanted to go for months. And if Celtic say, we'll let you go if we can get the right guy in, but if not, you'll need to stay till summer. That's how football goes. We were just so quick to release the asset and take the cash.
And what's 6, 7, 8 million for Kyogo when we've spent, we get the Danish boy, Biesgarden. We get him.
Angry you are.
I know, I'm spitting my words out. No, we get him for 10 million instead of getting held to ransom for 14. I just think that we just play it too quickly and we leave ourselves far too exposed for teams to be like, they've got money, they've just made 10 million for him, they're doing well in the Champions League, cough up.
Yeah, I think there's got to be something to that. And as much as, of course, we don't know the inner workings and how it all goes, you can see the headline stuff, that this player's moved, and as of time of recording, other guys haven't come in. So you can see certain bits of information playing out in front of you, and it doesn't seem to be a great tactic from Celtic from that point of view. Going back to your pictures, Miff, so there's Brendan Rodgers and Peter Lowell and Michael Nicholson on the flight.
I don't see.
They're not travelling on transfer deadline day for nothing. It wouldn't be like
a pick at Danny Ings.
No.
If you're going down there to sign Schlupp from Palace and Danny Ings from West Ham, then that's a grim story in itself. You don't need
straight to Heathrow.
You don't need to fly them up though. They're big boys. They can get flights themselves. I don't think
National Express,
the megabus.
So it would make you think there's maybe something else at play. Sometimes they fly off for these meetings with.
This is how they get you.
Dermot Desmond.
Do you know what I mean? There must be something else.
There wouldn't have been with Dermot Desmond on a day like today. So we need to see. So that's a wee bit strange in itself. Going back to what we have done in terms of business, we're of course delighted with Jota. We'll be buzzing whenever KT lands back. But these are two players that are very well known to Celtic. So the question is, at this moment in time, maybe this is where Paul Tisdale comes in. What are the scouting team doing? Because you don't need to scout those two guys. We know all about them. So what else are they doing in terms of unearthing players?
Not a lot.
Tisdale out?
Mentioned it a couple of weeks ago.
But is it unfair to tar him with the problems of
his job?
What's David Pleat up to?
Come on,
Pleat has done nothing for us.
Nothing.
Pleat out.
Get the motor. It's Tisdale's job to deal with it. So, I would say as much as it's early doors in his tenure, but he's not coming out the traps flying. So
again, you wonder if he, maybe in the same way that we understand Mark Lawwell was restricted, if you're getting told produce players in this bracket and you produce them and the manager rejects them.
Well, Rodgers isn't signing that off. He's trying to change the kind of paradigms that Celtic are working in. But I would say we are in a funny market because we play in the Scottish League that qualifies for the Champions League. We're way and above that, but we're also way below the bottom end of the Premier or top end of the Championship where guys, pay 60, 70, 80 grand a week. So, not for me to defend Celtic's scouting team and transfer team, but I do think you've got a bit of a unique challenge on your hands that you're looking to get calibre players that we can afford, but we can't pay the wages and burst the model unless we really want to trim down the squad to like 18 to 20 players and make savings that way.
11 really good players.
Never get injured.
Stay fit. Don't you dare go into a tackle. Don't you dare get injured. I think the only thing for me with it as well is what we've seen season after season, especially under the likes of Dyler and Lennon, and even Rodgers, where it came to qualifiers, near Beaton centre half, we were in panic stations, we weren't up to speed, we were struggling through and not always qualifying. It is a bit different this time round. The qualifier that we will be involved in, barring a miracle that we somehow get in through the back door. The qualifier's not until the near end of August, so the season's up and running. We'll get a full pre-season again. We'll be able to take the boys away and do another America tour if they want to do that, because it's looking like we're going to get more time with Rodgers again, and we've seen how quick out the traps we were this season. That bit doesn't concern me. I think getting the players in around then is absolutely fine, and that's why I think Celtic are just not going to get held to ransom in this transfer window if clubs are putting the fees up.
I think is that about they need to then start looking elsewhere and earlier. So going in at 4 or 5 million for Fiskarden when he's 2 years younger than waiting, because they're at it, Brøndby, and apparently Brøndby fans are saying what he's doing, you're never going to get that for him. And also if he doesn't move this transfer window, he's just going to turn into Brøndby and say, right, 50 grand a week.
Aye, exactly.
So, I mean, you can't just do that to a player and tell him he's a £14 million asset.
There's also a wee bit that Celtic are damned if they do, damned if they don't, because there was a lot of noise about we've paid for Ida's never worth that, Engels is never worth that, from a notable amount of our own supporters.
They're not. We've been held to ransom.
We have paid over the odds, so if you
they're still quality.
Some of the same people that are saying that will be saying just pay whatever you need for Fiskarden. So you kind of can't win. So if you do go and pay 14 million tonight for him, you're getting more grief again. It is a unique situation. There's not, and this isn't, our job isn't to defend or attack the board. That's not why we're here. We're just here to pass comment on what we can see. Right? We're not pro or anti board. I don't think. I don't know. Are you? Where are you at these days?
Don't know where I'm these days.
Don't know,
I'm very confused.
But the point is, we don't have a set agenda. We're just calling it as we see it. Hard-headed podcasters. No, but we're just giving our honest opinion on things. And it is a unique market, Paddy. It's difficult for Celtic.
I really agree with that, and I think for me the criticism I have, because I do see that they just need to take more risks, and I get that everything has built up to this point where yes, we're cash rich. We're releasing statements to the stock exchange saying, "Hey, we don't know what to do with all this money."
Poor Celtic, with their too much money that they can't spend. It's an absolute sin. It's so difficult.
We need to stop being.
I've realised that we are anti-board. I found them.
Aye. But we need to stop being conservative. We do. We need to think about what can we do now? Can we take the risk? Yes, but we'll probably make mistakes. But we're going to unearth some good players as well, and especially if teams are coming to us and saying this is what we value them at, give them the money. Stop lowballing.
Yeah, there's no guarantee with any signing, and now and then you just need to push the boat out, and you can mitigate your risks, but the risk's all the same, and sometimes that's just the way football goes. Famously, it was Fergie, wasn't it? It says if you get 1 and 2 transfer right, you're doing well.
Aye.
That still applies by and large. So now and then you need to push the boat out, and some will be absolute superstars, Jotas, Kyogos, all these guys, and some won't quite work out, but that's football, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think, going back to James's point around Tisdale, we know from this time last year that players were getting taken to Rodgers and he was saying no.
Yeah.
So you can only assume the fact that we've not signed any more, that he's not been happy with who he's been presented with or the targets that have been presented. So there will be a bit of that. I accept to a degree. There is a unique challenge about the type of player you're wanting to attract, especially at this time of year, but then why is it so easy to buy our best striker?
Yeah, that's
so
the thing.
It can't be. You can't have it both ways.
I think ambition definitely comes into it as well, in terms of Rodgers' ambition and Celtic's ambition, and I think they're diverging again when they look like they just might be kind of on the same page, because Rodgers is very clear in his interviews. They know what I need, they know what I want, whereas the board is looking at it going, league's done, League Cup's in the bag, probably go okay in the Scottish Cup. Are we going to beat Bayern? No.
I think Rodgers maybe thinks a little bit like that as well, though, James.
I got him yesterday.
I've got the quotes right, and it'll be interesting. I've got 3 kind of separate.
See, you've
quotes.
got Brendan's jumper.
It's a stylish man. This is not a Gucci.
A Tom Ford jumper and a pair of Gucci's.
But there's, I don't think the club are saying league's in the bag, League Cup, because they must know, they do know that there's qualifiers and they know how important. They're sitting right now in the moment enjoying the riches of the Champions League. And every other week they're counting the money that's coming in for qualifying and for beating these teams. The money's outrageous for Champions League right now, and that'll be set to continue with this new format. So they know how important that is, and they know we've got to qualify this time around. So if for nothing else, forget the League Cup and the Bayern game. To get back there next season, you need to buy now, and I think they realise how important that is. Yeah. We'll get to some of the quotes, as I say, in a minute, and I'm really keen to hear your thoughts on it. Just in terms of the outstanding rumours, and none of them are exciting, to be honest with you. Fiskarden, we've mentioned at Brøndby. David Strelic, Bratislava, played against us, I think, a number of weeks ago. Lennon Miller from Motherwell, I'd be pleased if we got that in terms of a bit of business. Jeffrey Schlupp, that you've pretty much confirmed, Paddy. Tyrell Malacia, Man United left back. That'll be
done now.
Done with Schlupp coming in.
Right.
And former Leicester player Iheanacho.
Yeah.
Do you know much about Big Ian?
Big Iheanacho, aye. He scored against us for Man City in the Champions League, a great goal.
He's only 28, I think.
Aye. Going to be
off the boil.
Aye, he's a decent player. Just think he wasn't getting his chances at City and took the move.
He wouldn't be one for us based on all factors. I just wouldn't see us signing him.
He's at Sevilla. Rumours are that he's going to go to Middlesbrough.
Aye,
looks like
that's
that's
been
done.
but that's also a PR text. Casper Schmeichel scouting policy.
I don't know. It could be Tisdale saying, "Hey, what about as a plan B to Skirden? We've got Iheanacho. What about looking at him?" But the fact is, it's last minute.
Yeah, and I've not mentioned Danny Ings. That's obviously another rumour doing the rounds. I don't know. There's just, as I say, there's nothing to excite you about the rumours. But in saying that, Celtic generally have been quite good at keeping their business low key and under the radar until they announce it. That's what I'm clinging on to now, though, Paddy. We're counting down the hours, and I'm hoping that happens.
How many times?
I've got at least two shaking heads here, and maybe a third in you.
I'd say more so under Ange. I don't think we've seen that with Rodgers.
I've been hurt before.
Yeah.
I won't be hurt again.
Let me give you some of these quotes. So Brendan Rodgers was speaking post-match at Fir Park, as you would expect, a wee bit about the game, but more so about the bigger picture. So first of all, he speaks here on it being more likely that we're going to bring in a loan than anything else. He said, I would think so. I think that to get the one that we would want for the longer term, if it's not there, then I don't want to just bring in anyone for the sake of it. I'll always look from within. There's no point in bringing in someone if they're not the right fit, so it might be more down that route, but we'll wait and see what the evening brings. I mean, if that is uninspiring, we'll see what it brings, and it might be a loan. It's nothing to get excited about, is it?
No, it's not. And unfortunately, it's something you could see coming. The links are relatively uninspiring, and I just think that great to get Jota in, but the Kyogo thing has left a very, very bad taste in my mouth.
Let me go straight to his next quote, because it's very much linked, and it's about the Kyogo situation specifically. He says, we play so many games, and how we want to play takes a lot of work, a lot of intense work. My feeling was always, once Kyogo was gone, was to have someone else come in. So that's the plan, and hopefully that can be the case, and we execute that by Monday night. So Paddy, he knows that's the plan, but we've also known for some time that Kyogo was moving away before this window even opened. So why have we taken it right up to the bumper on the last day to potentially, not to definitely, to potentially get someone in?
There is moving parts with it, and I think, I wonder if there's a little bit of thinking in terms of Daniel Cummins and what he's going to do. I think the fact that we've not backed the bid of what 650,000 to take 350 in the summer is, for me, a telling sign that he's going to be included in the squads.
Yeah, just on that. So West Ham are in for Daniel Cummins. He's only made his one appearance for Celtic, coming off the bench against Villa. They're keen to get him tied up in a pre-contract first, but they might try and get him.
I think that's been agreed. I think it's done.
So there's no point in Celtic keeping him, is there?
I don't think so. And I don't think he's going to feature in match squads if he's signed a pre-contract. That's a waste of everyone's time.
No, I would agree, but why would we just not say go and take him?
Try to squeeze him.
Kyle Vassell, Lawrence Shankland, Simon Murray incoming.
All available. James, just straight up question, were the club wrong to let Kyogo go before having his replacement in the building?
Yes. Yeah. That's really straightforward. I couldn't hear from anyone that would
tell
contend that.
Brendan he was wrong.
Aye.
Tell him.
Not Brendan.
Brendan.
What do you feel about keeping a player that's unhappy? All that chat.
I wouldn't be looking to keep Kyogo. I'd be looking to make sure I'd done the rest of the work that made sure I could let Kyogo go, and that's where the hard work is. They've just not done the hard work.
So the roots of this lie in the summer around Kyogo, with apparently failed or bids put on the table, which his agent didn't deem good enough for them to move for, but unsettled him enough for him to realise there was better out there for him in terms of financial package.
Then he bagged the agent, moved to Ange's agent.
So I think the club have probably felt if we get a reasonable offer and don't accept it, we might be left with a problem. I couldn't see that personally being the case, just with the nature of the player involved. But if I'm being, whilst I am distinctly unhappy with the situation, he missed more big chances in the past 4 months for Celtic than he'd missed in his entire Celtic career.
Yeah, scored plenty as well.
No, he'd still score.
And was playing a different role in terms of what Paddy was saying on about.
But I think there was a slight indicator there that there was an ever so slight dip in his performance. It wasn't quite an Edward situation in the 20 season, but for me, that situation having its roots in the summer, means that you've had since the summer to identify the solution to the problem, and it appears that we are no closer to doing that.
Apart from a guy we scouted 2 years ago.
So
the manager's on record as saying we as a collective, him, Michael Nicholson, the recruitment team, we've known for a number of months that the player wanted to move on. He could maybe have done himself a favour and not said that, actually, because you're absolutely showing your hand that we've known for so long. And I'm not saying we've done nothing about it, right? There's so much goes on behind the scenes that you don't see. Of course, they've been trying and inquiring and, reaching out to players and agents and clubs and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we're a big club. We can offer Champions League football. We're cash rich. It's all within Celtic's gift to secure a more than decent quality striker. And as I say, unless we're proven wrong in the next few hours, we've failed there, Paddy.
It needs to fit the system. And that is the bottom line. So that 100% they've not got rid of Kyogo without having a plan in place. It's just the plans have failed.
Yeah,
massively.
The plans.
And I think that's what I'm talking about. Just let it go. Let the shackles off and go and start spending it a bit more.
Do you think we thought we'd see a feast garden in the bag? Do you think it was something like that?
Listen, for me, the numbers started getting floated about just as we were waiting and finding out about Kyogo going, and then all of a sudden it jumped up by 4 million. So for me, there's a massive factor in. They've looked at the position, they've looked at how much we've got for that 30-year-old striker and done, actually, no, we can get more. What
we also know about transfer business, it's just not done till it's done. And Fabrizio Romano is a man for that, because as much as he says, let's go, this deal's on and that deal's on, he's also the guy that announces the ones that have fallen through, and so many fall through. And it seems that maybe Celtic thought they were 95% done with, say it was Kvistgarden or somebody else, but you're not done till you're done. And now it looks like we're going to get left with a real problem at the centre forward position. In terms of Brendan Rodgers and how he might be feeling or not about things, I'm just going to give you his final words on the overall transfer situation at Fir Park. He said, "The club knows my feelings. They know why I came back. I'm here to enjoy my time at Celtic, not to fall out with myself and do all the things that sometimes I maybe didn't do the first time around. But the demand is still there to improve the squad. We have to make sure that there's constant improvement. That's been clear. I don't need to fall out with anyone over it. Everyone knows what it is we want to do at the club. I'm hopeful that we can do that." And then specifically about today, I don't expect it to be hectic, but I would hope that we could come out of this window stronger. And that's always been the plan. James, if the window closes right now, are Celtic stronger?
No, it's quite clear. I think we're improved definitely with Jota massively. You saw that yesterday. But it's all about the goals, and losing a player of Kyogo's calibre. However, whatever level he's at now compared to 2 years ago, class striker, and definitely fitted to our model. You don't lose players like that without replacing them and expect to call yourself improved. I don't think anyone could ever suggest that.
Miff, I think it's not defeatist to say that we're going to really struggle to beat Bayern Munich, but as I said earlier on, it's not really about building for that. It'd be a real bonus to get a top striker in time for that game and someone who's up to speed and in form. But it is actually about the bigger picture. January signings, by and large, Nicholas Kuhn's a good example, are for a wee bit further down the track. They might add a wee bit to the end of this season, but it's more about what you then build in the 2-3 years you get out of them. And it doesn't feel we're getting anyone of that ilk at the moment.
Well, there's been very little chat. The only, if you were an eternal optimist in these situations, it would be that quite often Celtic's transfer business is kept quite quiet until the last gasp, and there might be a burst. Lawwell has traditionally liked winning the PR war of showing his hand last in transfer dealings as to who's coming in, and there are several windows that show that. So if you were of that ilk, you could hold out the hope that that's going to be the case, and there's going to be 2-3 late signings announced tonight, and we're all going to wake up tomorrow morning extremely happy with who Celtic have signed.
You go to bed before 11, you're staying up.
There'll be a post transfer window special with you guys going, "See, I told you, football doctor."
I think there's more chance of being a Cans episode.
The best doctor in town. And listen, I sincerely hope that is the case, because I really genuinely hope people don't mistake my tone on this matter as defeatist or overtly downbeat. I'm just disappointed that a player that I really loved, is no longer there.
Disappointed. Very disappointed.
And
I've only slept in 3 months.
And then we have known that, but yet have no replacement sewn up. That is deeply unsatisfactory to me, and I can't feel any differently about it.
Yeah, and as you said, there is always a possibility we'll pull out the bag, but it would be an extraordinary final few hours if we're to get the players that we require. And just on that then,
If we get the flight tracker on, where are they off to?
That's the modern day thing. And you used to have to wait for the paper the next day. Now we're tracking flights and all sorts. What are the ramifications, Paddy, domestically and in Europe, if we don't strengthen at this moment in time in striker and left back? What does the season look like?
So I think, as I said yesterday in the post match, for me, I look at the game against Bayern Munich and it's a one-off. Let's see what we can do. And I still think we've got a starting 11 if they remain fit that is strong enough to put in a bit of a fight and see what happens. I do think that we've got the calibre of player to take a challenge to them. I think we've kind of seen that. We've seen the attitude of that without our strongest 11 against Aston Villa, where we're thinking a few players could have maybe possibly made a difference there. So with the inclusion of Jota, Maeda back for the second leg, CCV, if everyone remains fit, then that game, we'll see what happens. We're not expected to go and win it, of course not. They're a team with massive pedigree against us. They should be winning, but they're not having a great season as well in Europe. And
domestically, they're doing all
domestically
right.
they're doing okay, but they're still shipping goals. Aye, and it's I think it's very company ball where he looks at it. Like he's, I think we kind of seen that with Burnley, very fast attacking football, but left his back line quite exposed a bit as well. So we'll see. I think Rodgers likes that. I think he wants that kind of tactical game, and if we can get him behind, I do think we'll score against them. I really do.
And it's one thing being realistic enough to accept that we're certainly not favourites going into that game, but you want to give your manager the best possible chance. And I think if that's the bare minimum that Rodgers asks the board and the scouting and recruitment team for, I don't think he's been served that at the moment.
I would agree, but also you're also then hoping that players come in this window, and this is maybe again where we act a bit quicker and get up to speed in 11 days, 10 days before the 12, almost a week before the game is played. Is a lot to ask, especially for the kind of system that we play as well and what the role's going to be. So I don't even think that a new signing coming in would potentially feature in that sense. I know Jota's very likely to start, obviously with the suspension to Maeda, but it's not a foregone conclusion that whoever comes in is going to take Ida's jersey. Whoever comes in is going to take the left back slot.
All the more reason not to sell your top striker.
No, I would totally agree on that, and that's what I'm saying. We need to act a bit quicker in what we're doing if we do want to bring these players in. We do want those guys to have the impact. In terms of domestic stuff, I do feel that I said this yesterday. I'm not happy the fact that we haven't replaced Kyogo. I'm really not. I'm also not happy that we're now looking before the announcement of Schlupp, we were looking at potentially Liam Scales being the backup to Greg Taylor in the left back position. I still think we've got enough about us domestically to go and win the league and win the Scottish Cup. I do.
Yeah, fair enough. James, just in terms of the European ambitions, though, it's important to Brendan Rodgers. There's quotes from when he arrived that was something he was really keen to address second time round at Celtic. And optics are important in football, and I might well be wrong. And as I say, there's conversations that might go on that we don't know about. In fact, there definitely are. We don't know. We don't know all actually, if we're honest.
And beat yourself.
But there's a situation right now where it feels like just qualifying was enough. Where's the ambition? We've qualified, great. That's Europe for a season. Yeah, we'll play Bayern, whatever. There feels a lack of ambition to go and give it our very best, whatever may come.
I think they get in and they act early on that by selling Kyogo before the Villa game, where it was just like, won a raffle prize, got to play in the Champions League, we'll get papped to it whenever they want us to get papped to it. And if you're carrying that on and to not finish your transfer window strongly, then you're just showing your hand that you're not serious about being in the tournament. Now, I still see it as progress, obviously, but you go out on your sword. You don't go out meekly.
No.
You go and give the manager every chance he has of giving them a scare. But you're not really going to do that. You had less chance of doing it against Villa last week when you punt Kyogo, and you've got even less chance that you didn't replace him when you come up against Bayern Munich. So I think the optics are really, really wrong here, and it's back to the board not matching the fans' ambition or the manager's ambition, which is the dangerous part.
That is the danger.
I would say in terms of even the game last week, though, I know what you're talking about in terms of Europe. The progress has been made, but why stop there? I totally understand that, and I think that we do need to look at the team we've got, being able to try and give a challenge to anyone we play against. We're not expected to beat Bayern. That's a given. But I actually think we kind of seen that last week, and a lot of people are saying that Brendan Rodgers was sending a message, bringing the likes of Dave Murray on, and Brendan Rodgers likes to kind of highlight this kind of thing with the board. I actually felt that Rodgers approached the game, and if you listen to his interview after the Young Boys game, he said, this is a massive achievement in us getting here. We'll see what happens in Villa. I don't think they approached it thinking that they were going to get anything, and I actually think it was a nice taster for a lot of the players. Go and enjoy this, go and get this experience of such a big night in Europe. I think Celtic viewed that game as a dead rubber.
Yeah, and if they did, it's unacceptable. And my counter to that, my feeling is always that Brendan Rodgers wouldn't want to go to England and miss the chance to prove a point. He's got so many detractors down south, and I think he would want to always get the win. But I know what you're saying, that the feeling, the vibe around it was just like, and it's a bonus game, Villa. We're through anyway, and it doesn't really matter. It should always matter when you're playing for Celtic. We've got the kind of cliche that, even a friendly loss is a disaster for Celtic, and that can be over the top, and the reactions from some, including us, can be over the top at times. But yeah, I don't think it's acceptable to say the Villa game and now seemingly the Bayern game beyond it are just bonus games. It should never feel like that. Miff, you've been quiet. I'll come to you just with a final big question on things here. Straightforward, how many signings do you think will get in between now and the close of the window? I suppose you can include Schlupp as a loan signing.
I just think it'll be one. I'm not convinced. I genuinely am not convinced. Aye.
You going home to tell that wee guy who had his big moment basically at Fir Park yesterday that
it was bad enough telling him Kyogo, was it?
I've seen a few social media things about that, like kids. I'm not going to school because Kyogo's away.
It was bad.
I never went to work.
It was bad, but no, I mean, it's coming from the fact that they've had all window to do their business and they've not done it, and also it would appear there has been some sort of failure to get Tierney here, what I would say is on time. Because the left back situation is something that's got to rumble on. If you get Schlupp, great, that's a sticking plaster until the pre-season. The Taylor issue looks like that's just not going to be an issue in the sense that both parties are just going to part the ways. And that will be very unfortunate because he's somebody that's been a critical part of the team over the past 5 years. So that I just think the way that we're going about it, for me, the word I'll use is unsatisfactory.
Yeah, I wonder if Celtic just thought that two big box office signings, and Jota and Katie are box office, absolutely. They're two extremely talented players. They're Champions League players. Great business, but you can't just rely on that being your headlines. You need to do more than that. Yeah. So, Paddy, Miff thinks we'll get just Schlupp and nothing else. What do you think yourself?
On that point, you can't also confirm you're going to get the two box office, and I think that we've just fell short in those last minutes. I really do. I think it's all happened at the last minute in terms of who we wanted to bring in, and it's just not materialised.
But we don't
check if
we don't have enough best alternatives to negotiate the agreements. That's always been a problem. So when it's not happening, what are you going for next?
I generally believe that there's been a plan A, B, C and D, and they've all failed. And D is the likes of Johnny Kenny, Daniel Cummins and Diza Maeda coming in. Honestly, I generally believe that's what's
coming
happened
in as a front man.
Aye. For me, one player. I think it'll be Schlupp on loan.
That's it.
Yeah.
James?
They've got me again. Schlupp and a surprise. A wee surprise.
A wee bonus ball.
Yeah.
I'm there or thereabouts. Earlier on today, I was asked and I said I thought we'd get a loan and a permanent signing in. So I'll stick with that and we'll see. Because also I just felt that was a bare minimum we should be getting in. And I didn't expect it to be as disappointing as it seems to be. And we can caveat this whole... You could probably let that shot and put it in the bin tomorrow if Celtic go and do the business. But at the moment, it doesn't feel like it's going that way. So we'll just need to see. That's all we can do, Miff, and we'll just need to cross fingers and cross toes and kick on.
Even if you get across the line, skin your teeth stuff, that can't go on. That's also failure. You've got to do better than that.
Aye.
Yeah, taking it to the bumper every single window.
Rodgers reference
can't be the way.
Too conservative.
Let's kick on. So transfer stuff all on the back burner very temporarily. We'll see what the next few hours brings. Paddy, you've spoken about Daniel Cummins, so yeah, just to highlight, he may or may not join West Ham. Again, it's just a further example of a young talented player maybe not quite been good enough to make it at Celtic. We don't know for sure, not seen enough of Daniel Cummins, but maybe not quite been good enough, but also not having the patience, and Brendan Rodgers has cited that in the last couple of days, not having the patience to sit tight at 18 or 19 and do what Callum McGregor has done and become an absolute legend at the club. 500 appearances, which we'll get to in a second. some younger players are just so hell bent on making the move at the first offer, and the money must be crazy. They're getting offered tens of thousands of pounds at such a young age. You can see where they're at, and you can also see the challenge for Celtic to keep them.
It's a tough one for Celtic. I think, we want these guys to come through, and we want to make players of every single one of them that we feel are capable of it. And I think Vata was probably on the cusp of that, but we cannot compete with the wages, not even in the Championship for players of this age. We're not going to go over £1,500 to £2,000 a week for some of these players. And I think obviously the market dictates now that a lot of the English teams are shopping here because of Brexit. And I think that a lot of them are now focusing on the Scottish market, the rules that are in place. It makes it easier for them bringing them in, and if it doesn't work out for them, it makes it even easier for them getting rid of them as well. Yeah. So it's really tough for us.
Yeah, it really is. So we'll see what happens with Daniel Cummins, but it looks like he might be the latest, James, to move on without having any real impact on the first team. I mentioned Callum McGregor, Miff, and obviously you've had your or Ben has had his moment with him yesterday at Fir Park, but he's made his 500th appearance for Celtic at Fir Park there. He's only the 13th player to do so at the club. We can debate where Callum's at this stage in his career. He's had some good games and some not so good games this season. He was perfectly fine yesterday without being brilliant. But overall, in terms of the achievement, just how big an achievement is it?
Well, it's remarkable, and to have became the captain and presided over such a successful period as well, as he's went on to that 500 appearance mark is I think what makes it even more special, and probably quite fitting that he done it playing for Rodgers, because I think Rodgers has been the coach that's unlocked the most out of him, or certainly kicked him onto that next level of performance that saw him stay in the Celtic team before Rodgers' arrival. He was in and out. I did like him, he did play him, but would often be for the wing or a sort of wide midfield position. Rodgers played him through the middle, and you've just seen a relentless level of performance. His appearance record as well, misses very, very few games. You couldn't ask for a better guy to be leading your club on the pitch. You just really couldn't.
Yeah.
Level of consistency in his performance, but also how he conducts himself. Just an outstanding captain and an outstanding leader. Yeah,
and he's something like third or fourth most decorated Celtic player on 24 trophies. I think him and Bruni are joint on 24, and it's Jamesy Forrest up top with Bobby Lennox on 25. It's incredible stuff. Just quickly, for a wee bit of fun, I've mentioned the fact that Callum's the 13th player to have 500 or more appearances for Celtic. Can you name some of the other 12?
Billy, top of the tree.
Billy McNeil, yeah.
Scott Brown.
Danny McGrain.
Jamesy.
Not yet, I don't think.
No?
It's all gone quiet.
Paul McStay.
Paul McStay's in. Roy Aitken, Paddy Bonner, Alec McNair, Bobby Lennox, we just mentioned, Bobby Evans, Jimmy McMenemy, the Icicle, Alec McNair, Jimmy Johnson, and one last guy, 80 Celtic hero, former player, former manager, from the Calton.
Tommy
Burns. So that's the 13 players, and it's really esteemed company for Callum McGregor. So congratulations to him on that. James, I'll come to you first for your final comments for this transfer window week.
Ask me again tomorrow.
Magic 8 ball. Ask again later.
I don't know what I think. I think we just might need to take our medicine on this one. The problems that I've taken us to this point are structural and need more attention. Whether Tinsdale needs more support or needs to not be there, who knows? I think it's early in terms of revolutionising a department. I'd still like to have seen him, and he should have liked to have seen himself delivering really strongly in this window, just to emphasise that he knows what we're after and he can deliver it. But they might get there and they might not, whatever kind of thing. But even taking to the last year, like I say, not acceptable. So I would just need to go on with it. My last word is just, I was a bit 50-50 on Jota. I wasn't 50-50, I was like 70-30 or something. I was just like, he needs to work harder. 100-0. See that yesterday? Just like a waiting for me to come on the park.
Mate, I know.
That's him there. He's coming.
I know.
And then scoring the goal in almost the last kick of the ball, the last kick of the game, and then getting his weird celebration. And then his emotions, just beautiful stuff. A modern man.
And that's what it's all about. That's why you follow 100%. Football. That's why you follow Celtic. Paddy, your own final thoughts?
ecstatic at the signing of Jota. Absolutely, I think I mentioned that a good few times in the post match yesterday. I'm disappointed if we leave this window the way that we're sitting at the moment. I think that we could be stronger. I'd definitely say that, but I don't think I'll be getting the Sharks out.
Not just yet.
No.
Yeah. My final word goes to you.
Well, I think you're quite right. The point you made earlier, Tino, that we could all be looking very, very foolish by the time this goes out to our avid and
We
loyal
caveated it by
listeners.
saying last day is not acceptable, so we're cool.
So, you would say that. Let's not take it. But if it's Schlupp and Ings, we riot.
You rioted, Don.
We riot. So let's just wait and see how it plays out.
Yeah. Two words, Celtic.
Sharks are enough.
Not good enough.
No.
So that wraps things up on this latest episode of the Celtic Exchange Weekly. Thanks to James, Paddy and Miff, and thanks to you for tuning in. We'll be back later this week with our matchday episodes for Wednesday's league game with Dundee and then Saturday's Scottish Cup tie with Raith Rovers. And don't forget to check out the Celtic Exchange Plus if you want to enjoy completely ad-free listening for every episode, as well as early access to the Celtic Exchange Weekly. There's a link for all of that in the show notes. But until next time, enjoy all the new signings that are surely jetting into Glasgow as we speak. Have a brilliant week. We'll see you again really soon.